So you just came here from wedding planning.
Yep. We're starting the wedding planning process. Looking for wedding planners right now. So we have ideas, but first things first.
Okay, so I got married and my wife said, do you want to be involved in this? And I said, honey, it's all yours. And just tell me where to be. You want to be involved.
Yeah. I think we've always looked at things as like, let's do it together. Let's be involved in the process. And we've started with all the calls and thinking through things together, and it's exciting.
Do you think you'll ever get to the point where you'd be like, okay, vanilla cake, chocolate cake, lemon cake, whatever,
I think there's going to be a few things in there that I'm like, whatever you want, whatever. But
right.
You can give the opinion, no, I love that. It's great. And then you just keep it going.
Have you ever seen the Mike Leach video where there's a bunch of reporters interviewing this football coach, and they say, hey, did you know so-and-so just got engaged? He's like, let me give you some advice, whatever you want. I don't care, whatever you, should we do that? I don't care, whatever you want. And he goes on for 3 minutes about it. Do you think your fiance would get offended if you went, honey, I got baseball on my mind, I got business, just whatever you want?
Yeah, I think it's more fun for us to be involved, to give an opinion. And maybe I have a little of a control thing. Maybe I like to be involved. Maybe I'm into it.
Yeah, you like the control thing.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, that looks nice to me.
Okay, so I get the feeling that you're a businessman who plays baseball, rather than a baseball player who dabbles in business.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that, to me, business it's very important. It's something that I went to school for finance. I have a brother who we started working on this stuff as soon as I kind of came out of college and thinking about it. And so I've kind of grown up with that mentality of an interest in it and having it be exciting and something that I enjoy doing. Obviously, baseball's been the first love and something that I've worked my entire life for, but to be able to have the platform to do both, been really fortunate for that.
So do you look at Ian Happ as a brand?
I think every professional athlete has their own brand, or I think of it more as things that you like to do that you can share with others, interests, passions, hobbies, that we have the platform and ability to share. I think thinking of yourself as a brand or your own brand, that's more of that's what guys like who actually have their own brands, LeBron and Curry and those guys are doing. But being able to share interests and passions with a fan base like this in Chicago is really cool.
So are you always the guy who's looking around like you're involved here, the obvious shirts? It's one of the coolest stories that we've seen come along.
Yeah.
Like in a space that's so crowded, this thing stands out. It is unique.
Yeah.
Coffee, Connect Roaster. Like, are you a guy who's, just observant, walking around going, I like that concept. I'm going to get involved.
Yeah, I think that's, especially in Chicago with like I said, with the fan base, when you see something that's so unique, that sticks out, that strikes your eye, it's something that, like, my first inclination is to look into it. All right, what's the story here? How'd that happen? How can I help? Or can I help? And then if I think I can, making those connections and getting excited about that, like that, to me, that is something that I love doing.
So, like, let's talk coffee. Like, I love coffee.
Yeah.
I'm up every day, 4 a.m., go to work, got my coffee going. I love coffee. Were you always a coffee guy?
I wasn't a massive coffee guy in college, but as soon as I got out of college and got drafted, my brother and I moved in together, and we moved down to Austin. And he's 6 years older than me at the time. He's spent 3 years trading in Chicago, and so he's way into coffee. He likes higher end coffee. He's excited about French press and pour over, and that's when I started getting into it. I just said, this is way better than anything I've ever had. And when I got to the big leagues, started going to coffee shops on the road. That was kind of my thing before games. Finding a place to get pour over, and then in 2020. Connect Roasters all came together, and it's been a really exciting journey.
How old were you when you had your first cup of coffee?
Really young, because my parents were both heavily addicted, and they drank just mud, just absolute mud.
Garbage.
Starbucks French roast. Like, absolute mud. And so when I was a kid, you know, after a family Christmas or whatever, and you'd have a cup of coffee, and it's like, well, that's motor oil. And then, you know, as you get a little bit older, you know, I think in college it'd be like a gas station coffee if you're trying to stay up to write a paper. And then I was introduced to French press and pour over, and I was like, this is a different world.
And so you kind of flipped for it then, and like I have a son who's like, he's a coffee snob.
Yep.
Hey, Garrett, I really like it. That's garbage. Don't drink that.
Yeah. That's how I am. It's like, especially burnt coffee or something that's been roasted way too hot. It's like, I can't drink this. But I also probably at 21, 22, started drinking really nice coffee and didn't really look back.
So you were that guy in college, maybe even as a senior in high school, with a cup of coffee. People were like, really?
You know, it didn't start like that. I had some coffee with my parents and kind of in college to write a paper, but I wasn't always like walking around campus with one. And then as soon as I got drafted at 20, so as soon as I got drafted and was kind of on my own, and that's when I got introduced to it, and that was like, all right, now. And then when I'm 22 in the big leagues walking around with one of the mugs in the clubhouse, you know, Lester and Riz and some of these guys are like, this guy's 45, he's not 22.
Right.
Because I would get to the park and walk around with a coffee in the morning.
So you're an old soul.
That's what they say.
Do you think you are?
Yeah. I mean, I think having a brother that's 6 years older does that to you. I think, you know, always kind of hanging out with people and growing up in a clubhouse where guys are older than you, it has that effect. I think I have interests and hobbies like golf and coffee and wine, things that are more geared towards not what a 22-year-old was interested in at the
Right.
time.
A 22-year-old's like, all right, I can eat Coxies, I can go to... That's not you.
No, never was.
Never was.
No, that's not, I mean, I think all of the things that kind of have happened in my life and have kind of led me to that being more of someone who hangs out with people who at that time were older and more mature, and it was just always who I was.
Okay, so you're this mature guy because you grew up with an older brother. I'm listening to the Compound podcast this morning on my way to work. It's like 4:30 in the morning, and I'm listening to you, Zach, Dakota, and it sounds like, maybe I'm wrong, that's the little kid right there.
Those guys are unbelievable. They bring it out of me. Yeah, it's a blast. I think living with those guys in 2020, when everything was wrong in the world, you know, we got really lucky with our situation. We were able to make the most of it with what we were doing, and then with being able to put this podcast together. I think the fact that we've done, I think I said episode 112
right
the other day, and was like, oh my God, like how have we done that many episodes of this? How have we been doing it for so long? And it is really crazy, but it's been a really fun ride. It's been great to identify with the fan base and kind of have that connection. It's really cool.
It was a baseball podcast that didn't really talk much baseball. Like, I didn't know that you would rather have 7-inning doubleheaders rather than 9.
Yeah,
But when you pointed out the length of the day, and then I heard, I think it was Dakota said, do you realize Josh Hader closed both ends of a doubleheader? He goes, I throw 10 pitches and I'm exhausted.
Yeah, the little things like that are crazy. I think being able to talk about the player's perspective of what's happening on the field, and I think talking about like when somebody like Morel comes up and the plate discipline he showed, and like the little things, like people get excited that he's hitting the ball super hard and he's like as 11-game hit streak or whatever, like that's awesome. But the little things that get him there, the being able to take his walk, get to 3-2, understanding where he's going to throw the ball in all of these different positions he's playing, like the little things like that, for like being able to communicate that to the fan base, I think is what makes our podcast kind of fun.
Something else you guys talked about was, okay, Morel's in center field. Here comes the reliever, and he's high-fiving guys who, I remember John Lackey, the first day he was here, I walked up, introduced, hey, I host the post-game show and the pregame, and he said, hey, 4 days a week you can come up and talk to me. I will be a complete asshole on day 5. Stay out of my way. And here's Christopher, it's David Robertson. He gave a leaping high five too, and I don't remember who the other reliever was.
F. Russ coming in the game.
Scott
yeah,
F. Russ.
But like, I don't know. Robertson's got a lot of time in the big leagues. He's been really successful. He's been around. He's coming in to close out a game on the south side. And I think Morel's 22. It's just 22-year-old coming in, jumping high five, going to center. But it's the most genuine. Like, that kid just loves what he's doing all the time, and it's amazing to see. It's amazing to see the different personalities that are on a baseball field.
That make up a clubhouse.
Yeah.
Like, someone told me he was in the on-deck circle, and he looked at, hey, Mr. Ricketts, how are you? And he shook his hand.
I think he's had a handshake with every umpire. He went up to Yelich yesterday and shook his hand in the middle. I don't think they know each other at all. Everybody. It's amazing. The kid is really fun to watch.
So do you ever have moments where you're walking down the street, you're driving to the ballpark? I'm a fucking Major League Baseball player, and this is amazing.
Yeah, all the time. I think all the time. Here in this city, you kind of have moments like that all the time, walking to Wrigley, little things. And I think throughout the course of the season, you kind of always have to pinch yourself. And especially when it gets hard, you have to remind yourself, like, this is really, really cool that I get to do this every day. The little things about, going on the road, walking into new stadiums. Like, you have to remind yourself that it is the most amazing job in the world, even when it's really hard.
Did you see it coming? Did you know?
I was always trying to do the next thing. I was always, when I was a kid, I was trying to make the varsity team as a freshman. Like, that was the big thing where I was. And then after
Did you?
Yes. And then after I did that, I wanted to play D1 ball. And that was like a big deal. Wanted to play in the ACC or the SEC. That didn't happen. But got a chance to go play somewhere where I could play as a freshman. And that point, I wanted to go play in Cape Cod, and I got the opportunity to do that. And then after that, having some success there, that's when I kind of knew that I was going to be a pro, and was able to get drafted high enough that as soon as I got drafted, my trajectory was to the big leagues. And that was kind of after my freshman summer in the Cape, I knew I had a real chance.
And what is draft day like? Do you know it was going to be here?
No, there was a couple options or a couple teams that were interested. I knew it was a possibility. I came and worked out here 2015, June 1st, I believe. I came and worked out at Wrigley, which was about a week.
That's today.
Look at that.
How about that?
That was about a week before the draft, and my brother was living here at the time. And we went out to get breakfast, and it was about 40 degrees. And I'm going, what is this city? And it was when they were doing construction on the bleachers, so all the bleachers were on the field, and we were out there doing a workout. And there was a few guys who are big leaguers now that were there, and I did a couple other workouts at the time because we were out of the tournament, and so I was kind of traveling around doing a few of those. Draft day was super special with family. I didn't go to the network. We did it at home, and there was one team before the Cubs that was a possibility, but a long shot. And then the Cubs came along, and it was kind of done right around when the White Sox picked the pick before. And, just an amazing moment for the family.
Does your cell phone ring? How does that work?
Yeah.
And who's on the other end?
Yeah, the deal's kind of getting done, and you're settling on a number, and then, I can't remember who called.
So when you say the deal's getting done, your phone rings and they're saying to you or to your representative.
Yeah, you're trying because they have a pool of money that are.
Would you take
over the first 10 picks? So they're trying to make sure that with the first pick, don't
blow too much.
Yeah, well, there's a slot there, and you have to decide if it's at slot, below slot, where it fits in. And so you're kind of talking through those things as you get to the pick. And then you kind of know it's going to happen, and then it happens on TV. And I think it happened on TV, and then I got the call from, it must have been from Theo, but the call I do remember is from Jason Carr, who called me a little bit later, who's the Cubs media relations, and then talked to me through what would happen next with all that stuff. Jay Carr is the one that I definitely remember.
So the White Sox picked right before the Cubs,
right? Before the Cubs. 8.
Were they an option?
No, never. They were always looking for a pitcher, I think. They took Fulmer. I think they were always looking for a pitcher. And that was kind of how it went in the draft process. You know, you have teams who are looking for a pitcher, a college pitcher, a high school bat. And then, you know, there's a couple teams out there looking for a college bat. And so Benintendi went to the Red Sox at 7. And then I went at 9.
Fulmer and then you.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing moment.
Yeah, amazing. Just for the family, for all the work, all the hours, all the travel ball games, and yeah.
Okay, first time then they win the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
You get called up to the big leagues here.
Yep.
Terrified walking into that clubhouse like, oh my God, these are the world champs.
No, I got really lucky in the fact that I was in camp that year with the team, my first spring training in 17. I was able to be friendly with some of the guys. You know, Riz and I got close that year, even in spring training a little bit. And it was such a welcoming environment at that time. Everybody was so happy. They had just won the World Series. There's so many good things happening. Joe was very inclusive. Tim Buss, who was the strength coach at the time, was really good at bringing everybody in. And it was just a really easy environment to be a part of. And so I played, I think, 30 games that spring training. I think I played in every single game. And so I was always with the team. So it didn't matter if guys were starting that day or off. I was every other day when they were playing, I was with them. And then I made the trip to, I believe, Houston, where they played the 2 exhibition games before they started the year. And that's, you know, and then I was always going to go back to AAA, but like I was there the entire time. So to be able to say bye to those guys, wish them luck then, and then see them in a month and a half, it was like a really easy environment to come then join and feel like you were a part of it.
So the businessman who's involved with obvious shirts and coffee and this and that JomBoy Media, you have a role in that company, correct?
Yeah, I invested in the company, and then we took our podcast to their platform. It's been super exciting to see what they've done, even since the investment, which was a couple years ago, with building now their presence in Manhattan and having actual players are coming in and seeing them, and they're doing all the shows out of there. They keep building on with more shows, more content and ideas, and they're a super powerful media arm now that is really taking baseball by storm.
Feels like that they were out there, but once they were able to break the Astros story,
yeah,
that's what, boom, there they go.
Yeah, the Astros story, and then there was a really good one with when Booney with the Yankees was calling them savages. That one really took off, and that was kind of what got them out there. But they had a super successful Yankees podcast, and then they start with Talking Baseball to be able to really bring everything in. Plouffe joins, and then slowly but surely, you know, people realize, hey, these guys really know what they're talking about. They have a good relationship, a good back and forth, and they become kind of the trusted place to go find baseball content.
Yeah, there's amazing baseball content. So how did you get involved? You have a role here with Obvious.
Yeah.
Tell us about that role. How did you get involved here?
Yeah, you know, Joe and I started talking years back about, and I saw what they were doing. I got excited about how much of a buy-in they have from the fan base. And so we kind of started talking about, all right, what are the next steps? What do you need? What can help you grow? And just that relationship of being able to bounce ideas, talk back and forth, and kind of be a consultant or someone that would listen and help. And then over the years that's developed, and we've done shirts together, obviously, out there through 2020 with the podcast, and then we just kept it going to a point where, hey man, I want to be involved. I would love to continue to help in a more official capacity. And so being now a part of the company, someone who has a stake and is invested, is really a dream come true for me.
I want to get back to the coffee. Okay, what makes a good cup of coffee?
That is a great question. Great coffee beans, I think. There's a lot that goes into the actual cup of coffee, but I think sourcing single origin, like really high quality beans is first. Then the roasting process of making sure that you're doing it to a point where you're not taking away from the actual green coffee, the bean. And then making the great cup, there's a lot. I just got a new grinder, and let me tell you, I was making some bad coffee to start because...
But isn't a grinder a grinder?
No. It's not.
See,
it's
that's
not
what I
just a
don't
grinder.
understand.
And then if you have a new grinder and you're trying to do a certain type of coffee, like I was doing pour over.
What is a pour over?
It's the same concept. So when you're getting a drip coffee, it's just ground coffee and water
Going through
it, right? When you're doing a pour over, it's a little bit more exact, a little bit more fine. You grind the coffee and put it in, right? And then you pour the water over yourself so you can control the temperature of the water, how fine or
So it's
coarse
actually
the
a better
grind
cup of
is.
coffee.
It is a way better cup of coffee.
So would my pipe taste differently
Yes.
between the Really?
Probably better. Probably less burnt.
Okay, do you
Also-
only drink black coffee?
I'll put a little bit of milk in sometimes, depending on like the roast or how I'm feeling that day. But like I was just making really bad coffee for a couple of days because I was trying to get it right with the grind. I was grinding it too fine. It was turning into basically mud. And then today, this morning, I finally got it right, and it was a big success in my house.
So what kind of coffee did you have today?
I had the Congo this morning.
From Connect Roasters?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, I didn't also not know, because I tried to cut my caffeine intake down. I was drinking too much caffeine. I did not realize that the lighter the roast, the more caffeine.
More caffeine.
Because
Correct.
I would walk in and go, yeah, I'll take the blonde. Give me that one, the blonde roast.
Yeah.
That actually has more caffeine.
I'm always into light roast. I'm a light roast guy. I like the flavor of light roast. I like that there's more flavor there because the darker you go, the more you're getting the roast profile, which can, to me, sometimes taste a little burnt depending on who's doing it.
Do you drink coffee after a certain hour where it keeps you from sleeping?
Sometimes, which is bad.
Right.
Sometimes I'll hit a cappuccino late and then not be able to sleep and be really upset with myself. Sometimes I can't
Do
control
you
it.
ever get a decaf?
No, I don't get decaf.
Never.
No. Do you
my
get
wife.
decaf?
I will, like if we go to a great meal. We're at Chicago Cut, my favorite restaurant. I'll go there and I'll be like, hey, give me a decaf cappuccino. My wife's like, why?
Yeah, maybe I should start doing that because I went out and had dinner a few nights ago and got a cappuccino after, and then I was wide awake.
Right, you're
And
wired.
and I was not happy about it. Yeah.
So do you eat, okay, night game tonight.
Yep.
You have a game at 7:05. Mm-hmm. You're at the ballpark 3?
Yeah, probably usually between 1:30 and 2:30.
Okay. So you got to get yourself right, get
Yep.
your mind locked in. Bam! Ian Happ steps in the box. Game ends at, we'll call it 10:15. Mm-hmm. What is the post-game ritual like? Do you have to do rehab on your body? And then, do you go out to dinner then?
No. Usually, so 10:15 game ends, come in. Like yesterday, for example, I went straight to the therapy room, cold tub, hot tub, cold tub, a little bit of body maintenance
No
there.
cryo?
No, I don't do the cryo.
I
I don't
don't
do
think
the. You're a
they
big
do.
cryo guy.
Oh.
I went cold tub, and then kind of a little bit stretching, or if you have to get a workout after the game, but then get some food at the park. Try to be home. Got home last night 11:30ish, 11:45, and that's it. Yeah.
And can you go right to sleep?
No, well, absolutely not. It takes me a little bit to get to bed, but I try to be responsible with it. And then a lot of the season is managing sleep schedule. Like, all right, if I couldn't get to bed until 12:30 or 1, I got to make sure that I try to sleep until 9 or like, which sometimes you feel like, what am I doing? I'm sleeping until 10 or 11, but like you need that to manage it
Take care of
because
your body.
yeah, because it adds up. And like, so Thursday we go from night game here to 1:20 day game. That's always a tough turn to be able to, all right, I got to bed at midnight and now I have to be at the park by 9:30.
So I remember back late 90s, I was already working doing the broadcast, and Brian McRae, you never know who's going to run into a podcast.
You guys have this in a large?
Yeah, you don't need the 3X, do you?
No.
You've been running a little
That
bit?
was old then.
Working
Good
out?
to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Hey, you look
Hey,
fantastic,
so do
right?
you, always. I like your shirt.
Hey, thank you.
Guy's the best. I was working here late 90s, and Brian McRae said to me, you want to know why your favorite team never wins? He goes, because Saturday we play at 12:05. Sunday we're at 1:20. Monday we're at 7:05. Then another 7:05. And then we got a 3:05 game on Friday. He said, you try going to work at all those different times. Your body can't handle it. Is that a factor?
For sure. I think the consistency is super helpful. I love our day games. I love that we get so many of them because you get to live more of a normal life. And when it is consistent, when it's 1:20 for 3 days in a row, like, it's easy. You get adapted to it. The turn from Thursday to Friday is tough, but once you're used to it, once you know how to prepare for it, it's the best.
So what's your fiance's name?
Julie.
Okay, does Julie live your lifestyle? So
No.
she's asleep when you come home?
Oh yeah.
Gone.
She works her own 9 to 5, and so yeah, we're on very opposite schedules most of the time. It's like when she's working, I'm like preparing to go to work or like getting ready, and then yeah, once I'm done, she's out cold.
Okay, Ian walks in the house and he left the bases loaded in the ninth. Is he throwing the remote? Is he just give me a minute? Or
Yeah.
that was work, I left it there.
Yeah, it depends. Usually I do a pretty good job leaving it there. There is times throughout the season where it gets tough and it's hard not to bring it home. You get a nice 20, 25-minute drive to kind of see if you can get away from it. But there are times when you just do need a night to veg out and try to get away from it. Sometimes it is nice that she's knocked
Asleep,
out cold so
right.
that I can just sit there and be with my thoughts. So there's ebbs and flows to the season where, sometimes you're on top of the world and sometimes you're listening to Olivia Rodrigo on the way home trying to
Correct. Get
not
away.
cry, yeah.
Dog guy?
Grew up with a dog.
But you don't have one.
Don't
now.
have one, no.
No plans.
No. That's a lot. It's a lot to handle with the travel
I have
schedule.
3. And they all
for
sleep
you.
in our bed.
Wow. Crowded, huh?
Yes, very crowded. Me, wife, and they're all big. 2 black labs and a Siberian Husky.
Wow. I grew up with a Shih Tzu Maltese.
I grew up with a Yorkie.
Oh, nice. You went the opposite direction.
Yes. My wife went, no little dogs. So do you look forward to kids, being a dad, or
Yeah.
haven't even crossed that bridge?
No, definitely not. But I look forward to it. It's something that obviously excited for in the future. I think taking it, especially with this lifestyle and schedule, you take it one day at a time, and as things come, excited for this year, what's happening now, and then, obviously Julie and I are doing some planning for the future and our next couple of years, and we're excited for that. But I think it's really important in this job to be like so present, because it's really easy to get ahead of yourself. It's really easy to get excited about things in the future or think about it a lot, because everyone around you is always planning for the future. There's always thought process for that, and to be in it every single day and focused on 1 out of 162 every day, I think that's what the really good players do.
Yeah, it's one batter, one pitch, 1 out at a time was always my mantra. When the Cubs were playing like for World Series, it's like, relax,
Yeah.
slow down.
It's super
That's
important.
hard.
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. It's so hard throughout the course of the season. It's so hard when you have 110 games left in front of you, day to day. But being able to do that, go pitch to pitch, and like make your adjustments as the day goes on, and be so focused on the at-bat you're in or the at-bat you're about to have, as opposed to what happened for the last 25 or what's going to happen for the next 500. Like, you have so many of them. It's just...
Because you can't control it, other than that one.
Yep, you can't. And everything that's happened before, you can get really upset that you just went 0 for 20 and that but that's not going to affect the next one or the next 25. So you really have to be so diligent in like moving on.
Movie guy?
Not huge. Not
I just
huge.
saw Maverick Top Gun.
How was it?
Better than the original.
Wow.
And
That's
I love
high
the
praise.
original.
So we played golf in LA, actually a crazy group on an off day last year with a bunch of the fellows from the team. Miles Teller and Joe Hayden was there, the cornerback for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Really just a random group of
So
individuals.
it's
but a
you,
great time.
Miles Teller, Joe Hayden, and Arrieta?
Yeah, and a couple other guys from the team. I think we had 2 foursomes. We ended up playing an 8-some 9-hole scramble at the
that's a
end.
blab, don't it?
was, yeah, there was a lot going on.
It's the greatest.
But a great time. Yeah.
What's Miles Teller like? Because he's really good in this movie.
Oh, he's really a funny dude, and being able to hang out with him and Arrieta were team partners in the scramble, and those guys going back and forth with each other was pure comedy.
Okay, you're a .1 handicap?
Yep, right. I just got my email from the
CDGA.
USGA this morning.
USGA.
Yeah.
.1 is insanely good. Is there anyone close to you on the team, or has been in the last 3 or 4 years on that team?
Yeah. Well, Hendricks won't play, but he's a good player.
Yep. He beat a pro when he was in high school.
Yeah, and he doesn't play golf anymore.
Right.
He doesn't like
His
it.
dad was a golf pro.
Yeah. Johnny Lester's got good game. We would have good matches on the road. Yeah, I've gotten a lot better in the last few years, but my game's in a good place right now. My game's tight. Yeah. It's good.
This game's tight. So you can make money.
Yeah. I mean, I like to go out there and play with the fellas and have a good time. I try to stay away from I'm just out here to have a good time and play. I'm just out here to relax.
Not trying to take their money.
No. Just throw a few birdies out there, make a few pars. Nothing crazy.
Birdies and pars. I'm playing tomorrow for the first time this season.
First time this season.
I haven't been out.
Wow.
Working.
Too busy.
Too busy. So, Wilson Contreras, he's in his last year. Mm-hmm. You got one more year of arbitration.
Correct.
Like, you're marrying someone who's a Chicago girl. Does that lifestyle concern you? Like, you may walk in the door and go, "Where's my luggage? I just got traded."
Yeah.
Do you think about it?
I think it's a part of it that you understand going in. This city's been unbelievable to me. Like, the memories that I've made here, the friendships, and like what this fan base in this city means to me it's tough to explain, because I've been so lucky to come in at the time that I did and have the experience. But you understand like what you're getting yourself into. To me, and I've talked about this in the podcast, the craziest part is that you can get traded and then be in the next city the next day,
right,
in the middle of the year,
trying to beat the team you just left.
Yeah, and like I always compare it to, like, imagine if someone got traded from Facebook to Twitter. And they were like, "Hey, you gotta," and the office is in New York instead of Silicon Valley. They're like, "You gotta go across the country. We'll see you tomorrow."
Right.
Yeah, it's nuts, but I think we've all dealt with at different times in our career either a trade rumor or some kind of, it might happen, and it's something you kind of get used to. You kind of just understand that it's part of the gig. Nobody wants to do it, and especially playing here, like, everybody wants to be able to play here for their whole career and keep putting on the blue pinstripes, because it is such a special place. But that's, again, something that's out of your control.
Would you like to be here your whole career?
Of course, yeah. This is best place in the world to play baseball, with this fan base, this organization, the history, kind of what it's meant to me coming up here. And
marrying a Chicago girl.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of factors that go into, like, I would love nothing more than to be a Cub for life, but you never get to control those things.
So there are a bunch of guys in pro sports that Derek Jeter, they transitioned to, they're a businessman. The late Kobe Bryant was a businessman.
Yeah.
LeBron, still playing, he's a businessman. Others, I'm trying to be a hitting coach, I'm trying to just be an announcer. Like, what do you want to do whenever baseball stops?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that I'm interested in. I think right now, being able to help grow businesses and, like, be involved and see that side of it has been really a thrill for me, and that's something that I would love to continue to do. But we'll see. There's parts of doing the podcast that I like. There's parts of a bunch of things that interest me. I don't think you'll see me coaching baseball when I'm done playing, but there's a lot of other things that, like, I really enjoy doing.
Being a coach, like, the players work hard. The coaches are there forever.
I don't think anybody understands how tough their schedule is.
It's insane.
For the most part, those guys aren't moving their families here. Sometimes families will come for the summer and come see them and hang out. But a lot of times those guys are making the decision to say, hey, I'm going to go work for what ends up being 8 months. and I'll see in the off season, and we'll visit from
Tough
here and
life.
there. But it's really tough, and I have so much respect for those guys, the hours that they put in. You know, for as often as we're there, you know, they're there about 30 minutes to an hour longer on both sides, taking care of us. So, yeah, it's a lot, and we have for years had really good groups here that do a great job.
5 years from now, Ian Happ would like to be where?
Whew. Still playing for the Cubbies would be great. Having a parade, that would be really cool. In the middle of Millennium Park would be pretty awesome.
That was insane.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Where
Yeah.
were you November 2nd, 2016?
I was in the Fall League. We were still playing. So I was in the Fall League in Arizona. Schwarber came down, rehabbed with us before the World Series.
Yeah, number 66 he wore. It was
Yeah, we watched a lot of the games down there. I watched with my family the end of the World Series, and we played for like another week. We were still going. But yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome to be around the facility at that time, to still be with some players and some Cubs staff who had been there. I think the coolest part for me being in the organization was how much buy-in there was from the entire staff, you know, top to bottom. A lot of the minor league staff had been a part of getting those guys to the big leagues and growing what was that culture of winning and kind of that every single part of the organization was helping lead to that moment.
All right, away from baseball, Permane sandwich or Skyline chili, which is better?
Permanis, that's a no doubter for me. Permane sandwich. I'm not a Skyline chili. You like
Me either,
Skyline?
no.
It's a dangerous combination
I
of
don't
food.
get it.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I don't either.
But the sandwich is
Oh, the sandwich is great.
insane.
The sandwich is great. Sometimes a lot going on.
There's a lot
But
going on.
I'm into it. There's right by our hotel. There's one in Pittsburgh now, which is great.
So you'll go.
Oh yeah.
So tell people exactly what's on it, because they put the fries on it, the coleslaw, right?
There's all kinds of things on it. And I think there's a lot of different combinations. Usually it's like a massive pile of meat and then French fries and then like tomatoes. And you can go, I don't go for the coleslaw, but you
Pretty
can,
sloppy.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta take a little bit of the meat off so you can actually normal size sandwich.
So is that like a post-game, game over, we're going back to the hotel, I'm going there?
If I have had it pregame, but it's like a half for me pregame. Also off day, we've had a couple really good off days in Pittsburgh where like go play golf, come back, have a Permane sandwich, and then just like melt into your bed. Like
That's a good off day.
pretty solid off day. Yeah.
Really solid off day. Career best round on a golf course? At like a decent course.
Actually, one of my best was Pittsburgh Field Club, 69 there, and then
That's insane.
shot a 69 with some of the fellas at Mesa CC in Arizona. Went out and played with Joel Damon and Harkins and a couple of the guys out in Arizona. I shot 69. Joel Damon shot 58. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
58.
58.
And he's a pro, but he's not like the best pro.
He didn't miss all day, and like we were kind of just like watching. Like I think he's 12 under right now, and then like eventually he shoots 58, which was par 72. So it was
14 under.
yeah 14 deep, and I was like I think I'm playing pretty good. No, you're not.
Not even close. Were you a Tiger guy, a Phil guy? Like, was there a golfer you watched growing up? You went, that's my guy.
I was a big Tiger guy. Loved watching him play, dominance and like the athleticism. A lot of guys now that I like watching. I love watching JT and love watching Ricky play. The way that he rolls the rock, like super impressive. A lot of those guys, but I think like the generation of golf right now, how much competition there is in the game is really good for golf. And I think this Netflix series for them, gonna be amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I got super into F1 because of their Netflix series. I think that's going to happen to a lot of people with golf. That's my hope.
Have you ever been to the Masters? No, because of baseball. Have you ever played that course?
No, unfortunately,
I
no.
got you on both of those.
You've played Augusta, huh? Really amazing?
Amazing.
Yeah, jealous of that. I've been to a couple U.S. Opens. My dad worked for the USGA, as an agronomist, and so he set up Oakmont for a few of the opens there. We were able to go to the men's and women's in the mid 2000s, and that was really, really cool.
So I went to the Masters in 18. Tiger won it in 19. 18, I was there. They take your phone. You cannot walk into the property. They lock it up in a little box.
I love that.
I hated it.
Well, when I went to the Open back, it must have been 07, we got the little sticker, because my dad worked for USJ, so you get a little sticker on the back of the phone. So you're a little exempt.
Your grandfather did.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
So you go there, no phone. You go to the concession stand. I remember I got a chicken sandwich and I got a beer. And the lady goes, get the cookies with the Georgia peach ice cream in the middle. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I don't really eat that. You got to get it. The whole bill was $7. Like everything is like from 1960.
I love that so much.
That's
how it should be.
It's how it should be. It's insane.
That makes the spectator experience better, and then people want to be there and experience that. Nobody
Correct.
wants to go there and pay $100 for food.
Your bucket list. You're retired.
Yeah, it's on there for sure.
Playing it or going it or both?
Both.
Okay,
Yep.
what else? Is there a trip you like, I want to do that?
Monaco Grand Prix. I think going to watch that would be absolutely unbelievable. I think some of those F1 races in Europe that we can't get to in the summer would be really cool. And there's a bunch of places like that we don't get to travel to or see in the summer that become frozen tundras in the winter that I would like to explore.
You have a really cool brand.
Thank you.
So,
I appreciate that.
Congrats.
Yeah.